Up next, Authentically Detroit welcomes the founder and host of the Ask Jenn show, Jennifer Onwenu. But first, this week's hot takes from Bridge Detroit. City plans AB4 Park walkthrough amid soil tree removal concerns. And Detroit Police Oversight Board members abused their positions. That's from the Office of Inspector General. Keep it locked. Authentically Detroit starts after these messages.
Founded in 2021, the Stoudemire is a membership-based community recreation and wellness center centrally located on the east side of Detroit. Membership in the Stoudemire is available on a sliding scale for up to $20 per year or 20 hours of volunteer time. The Stoudemire offers art, dance, and fitness classes, community meetings and events, resource fairs, pop-up events, the neighborhood tech hub, and more. Members who are residents of the east side have access to exclusive services in the Wellness Network. Join today and live well, play well, be well. Visit ecndetroit.org.
Hey, y'all, it's Orlando. We just want to let you know that the views and opinions expressed during this podcast episode are those of the co-hosts and guests and not their sponsoring institutions. Now, let's start the show. Hello, Detroit and the world. Welcome to another episode of Authentically Detroit, broadcasting live from Cast Corridor at the WDET studios. We are content partner to BridgeDetroit.com. I'm Orlando Bailey.
And I'm Donna Gibbons-Davidson.
Thank you for listening in and supporting our efforts to build a platform of authentic voices for real people in the city of Detroit. And as always, we want you to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms. Happy Women's History Month, everyone. The Women's History Month on Authentically Detroit. We will be highlighting women in and around the city of Detroit making history in their own unique way. First up, Donna and I are in the studio today with Detroit's favorite girls' girl and talk show host, the queen of Southfield, wow, plus founder and host of Ask Jenn, Jennifer Onwenu. Jennifer, welcome to Authentically Detroit.
Thank you so much for allowing the queen of Southfield on Authentically Detroit. I am grateful.
We're neighbors. We're neighbors, and we'd like to think of ourselves
lived there for
as
many years.
Neighborly.
16 to be exact.
It's a beautiful day in the city of Detroit. Donna, how's this blessed day finding you?
Wonderful, wonderful. It's Monday. It's almost 70 degrees. I wore a sweatshirt anyway. And
because it's this pneumonia weather.
I know, right? Exactly.
That's what Granny used to say. It's
exactly. Granny says you better cover up. Don't take it seriously. I'm talking about Granny. I'm Granny now. But anyway.
3 times.
But
you look good, Granny.
Oh, thank you. But Granny nonetheless. But listen, I was on the phone when we walked here trying to figure out how we are going to allocate our funding from the state for the Stoudemire Wellness Hub. And I feel so blessed today to be able to have that conversation.
Are you able to announce and be public? Okay. All right. Drum roll. Because Donna has an amazing announcement, and I love when we get to break news here on Authentically Detroit. Go.
Well, the state administered a $64 million community center grant award. Over almost 1,000 people applied, and we were one of 64 agencies selected. We were awarded a $1 million grant to improve the Stoudemire Wellness Hub through a capital grant, investment. So
Woo!
I cannot.
Congratulations. Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yes.
I was literally at the Stoudemire last week.
Oh, were you? What were you doing at the Stoudemire?
The land bank was there and I had some questions.
People be doing stuff and they be there, and people like Jenn be there and you don't even know it.
Listen, I was at the Stoudemire last week when we had land bank stuff. I was like, what are we doing here? The great thing about the Stoudemire is it's so much not me. It's so much co-owned by the community that I'm as surprised as everybody else when we have things. We had the land bank there, and they were bragging about us, saying we had a great, successful event. And then we had the Detroit soup on, I think, Thursday.
My homegirl won.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Who won?
Her she's trying to open an inclusive autism gym. She has 2 autistic boys. And
Autistic in the D?
Yep.
What's her name?
Tiara.
Yeah.
Tiara, what's her last name?
Moultrie.
Okay, that's wonderful. Congratulations, Tiara.
Shout out to Tiara Moultrie.
What a wonderful, I think that's a wonderful type of, business or, project to open. So, yeah, I was really excited about that. We're looking at trying to, move beyond the desecration of our building last year when somebody drove their car into our building and all of the losses there. But we've had a really good week. Last week, we also were awarded $40,000 from Enterprise Communities to invest in our Peace Plaza, which is what we're going to be renaming the space and reconfiguring the space facing our parking lot where you used to enter the building.
Amazing.
So that we are going to take violence and replace violence with peace. So it's been a good day.
Fun fact, when I first started recording Action, I recorded in the Stoudemire. All of my original first season was recorded in that building.
Get out.
Yeah.
Wow. History.
Audio Wave Network.
Shout out to the Audio
Shout
Wave
out to
Network.
JG.
Wow.
Shout out to
and
JG.
so since then, you've gotten really big, though, right?
She's
Just
big.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have to
She's
talk about your route to bigness.
Yeah, but
we're
first
really
tell us how you
excited.
doing. How's the
I'm
day
doing
finding you?
fantastic. It is a sunny D. It is a sunny day in the D, honey. I cannot complain. I had to take my coat off before I walked in this building. We are on a block that is walkable. Had the sun on my face. I'm feeling fantastic. I cannot complain.
Yeah, I saw the frat boys outside with no shirts on playing beer pong in the front lawn on Cass. I'm like, oh, okay, so I
It's
guess
serious.
I guess that's what we doing. I guess that's what we're doing. now.
Granny didn't talk to them.
I did not talk to them. Well, they were not a part of the Divine Nine. I'll tell you that. It wasn't the alphas or the Qs or the kappas out there.
Not even the iotas.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Donna the Shade. Congratulations, Donna,
Thank
to
you.
the ECN team and to you under your leadership. ECN has seen paramount investment and paramount success because of the vision. And so we are proud and we are happy to announce that here
Yes,
on
and,
Authentically Detroit.
And Orlando, of course, is a member of our executive committee. Don't let them
Amazing.
get away. So he's been, when he left the employment, he ended up coming onto the board, as we do, for some of our star employees who leave.
Yeah, it's been a great privilege. All right, for Hot Takes, y'all, the city plans a walkthrough of AB4 Park amid soil and tree removal concerns. I can't tell you how many emails I got about this. This is by Michael Walker at British Detroit. The city is planning a community walkthrough of AB4 Park on Detroit's east side and sharing more details on a soil remediation plan, which will result in more than 200 mature trees being removed. More than 100 people on Thursday joined a virtual evening meeting for District 4, which encompasses Detroit's far east side, including Jefferson Chalmers, 1 week after the city first announced plans to remove trees and address contaminated soil. The city's general services and buildings and safety and engineering and environmental departments gave updates on the project, such as ways the city will contain the soil and address questions and concerns about the remediation plan. According to city documents, the soil contamination, which included lead and arsenic, were uncovered during environmental testing required for the demolition of the former Lenox Community Center. While analyzing the park site ahead of the renovation, BC determined remediation for the entire park is needed, which includes putting down 2 feet of clean soil and removing 251 trees, many of which are more than 100 years old. Only 10 trees are in good condition, while the rest are in fair or poor condition. AB4 Park officially closed to the public February 21st for the tree removal project, as well as park upgrades, which the city estimates will last through September. The city's parks team will conduct the community walkthrough with an arborist next week to determine which trees might be safe, said Detroit's Chief Operating Officer Brad Dick. We know him well on the east side. Those interested in participating must email District 4 Deputy Manager Ebony DeBerry at ebony.deberry@detroitmi.gov. Again, because we know we got a lot of east side listeners. Ebony.deberry, that's DEBERRY at detroitmi.gov. The date and time are still being determined. After the trees are removed, a mix of 597 native shade, flowering, and specimen tree replacements will be planted. However, the removal will also bring heavy trucking to the area. An average of 20 to 30 trucks per day will be at the park 5 days a week over the 7-month duration of the project. The park upgrades are a part of a $9.5 million AB4 Park improvement project, which includes recently opened community center as well as walkways, playgrounds, and picnic areas. We're definitely going to miss the summer season at AB4 Park this year. Donna, what say you?
It's overwhelming, actually. Yeah. The city knew before they demolished this building and before they continued plans to rebuild this community center that there was widespread contamination in that
So
park,
dangerous.
but nobody was notified. Not a single resident. I used to live over there until last May. I lived right in Greyhaven, and so I know I never received any notifications. The city did not notify any of the people in houses adjacent to the park, any of the people who might be walking to the park and through the park, and instead waited until they were almost ready to close the park or after they closed the park to say, hey, by the way, guys, this place is dangerous.
Because residents just thought they were closing the park. And so folks were reaching out to me as a person in media and say, hey, they're closing our park and we don't have a reason why.
Right.
Information was scattered.
But they knew last year, they knew before demolition that they needed to close, that they needed to remediate. And so my question is, at what point do you tell, I walked through that park with my granddaughter last year, not knowing this was an issue.
I'm always
at
at
what point
AB4
do
park.
you tell people this might be dangerous right here? Now, mind you, she didn't like the park, so we had to leave early because there were a lot of bees, and she was like, no, this is not for me. Let's go to the purple park over there. There's a little small park around there. But I think that the lack of transparency is one of the concerns that people have. People should have been notified about that long ago. The other thing is that this is a missile site. This is a former Nike missile site during the Cold War. And so a lot of the chemicals from the missiles actually leached into the earth, apparently, and that's the reason why you have so much contamination. There's not as much conversation about what else might be there, but we know that missiles have more than arsenic and lead. So I'm also wondering whether there are things they're not talking about, and maybe they just found out about some of those other things. The other issue is that is there a risk of radiation? There's another park right there, and Maharis Gentry Park is not far, and I belong to an organization, the Maharis Gentry Waterfront Park Association, which was trying to reopen the Maharis Gentry Community Center until the city decided on Lennox Center. And there were a lot of people who said, wait a minute, this center makes more sense. It's larger.
And there was a pool.
There's a pool. There's a way to do it. And so the late and wonderful Odell Tate brought us together.
Yeah.
And I was having dinner with one of the former members of this Conservancy board, having a conversation about the fact that the city moved forward with the plan on a site that they knew was contaminated when there was an alternative place for that investment. And this is not to say there's any hate towards AB Fort Park, but the city made a decision to invest in this way. Now, when they say that these trees are unhealthy, I don't even know what that means. Do they produce leaves? Have they stopped producing leaves? What does it mean to be an unhealthy tree? I also know that the city has torn down a whole lot of trees on the east side along the Concrete Greenway, and to make way in neighborhoods. And so to what extent, healthy trees too, right? And so to what extent do we tear down healthy trees? Help me understand tree science, because I'm really not smart enough to have this conversation.
We got to get Detroit Jesus back on.
I would love to have
Antonio. His name is Antonio.
Right. I would love to
Cosme.
sit down with the arborist and find out, what does it mean to be an unhealthy tree? Does it mean that this tree can no longer provide a vegetative buffer for all of the air pollution that's going around in the community? There's a lot of unanswered questions, but I think the most significant thing I want to point out is that they should have notified the community as soon as they found out that there was a possible risk of contamination and closed the park to the public walking through that park.
We don't know if people got sick. There's no way to quantify that. The other nuance, I guess, that I would bring out with this story is that AB4 Park is a riverfront park. So the river is right there.
Yeah.
And where do our drinking water come from here in the city? It comes from the Detroit River.
Yeah.
And so to the extent that we have a park that's contaminated abutting our drinking source is a little scary to me. I don't know if there's a connection there, but I think we should be asking that question. We should be looking at that.
Well, there were questions that were raised about that, and they say that they're going to seal off or build up the area near the river. Again, they've known about this for a year and they haven't done it yet. There's a site that's farther west in southwest Detroit where there was a former, I think it was a battery plant or something like that was leaching uranium into the water or something.
Oh, yeah, we covered that. Yeah.
And and so we know that, unfortunately, cities used to have riverfronts were industrialized, and so it's hard to clean them up. You know that the former Uniroyal site is still
Right there.
largely
Right at Belle
unusable,
Isle.
even though
You
they've
can't use
opened
it.
up the River Walk by there. And I love that we were there yesterday, I think, on our bikes. But most of that site is unusable because of the contamination, and these could or should be Superfund sites, perhaps. It raises another issue. I know we've got to move on, but that issue is how many sites in the city of Detroit are contaminated, and we don't find out that they're contaminated until development is about to happen. I sit on the board of another organization that was trying to build a child care center and found out the site that they wanted to build this child care center was extremely contaminated. It's all over the city. And unfortunately, there's people who live near there who, there's this whole issue of vapor intrusions where it gets into the groundwater at times, and that groundwater is contaminated. Now, mind you, when you're sealing off the top of this park, what you haven't done is sealed off whatever gets to the groundwater. And so there's a risk of people who live nearby getting diseases. And the only reason we found out it was contaminated was because we did a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental study. People live next to former dry cleaners, former gas stations, former industrial plants, and they don't know. And most poor people are not living in places where development dollars are going in. And so it really speaks to the need for us to do a better job researching this and protecting people, irregardless is not a word, regardless of.
I was going to let you have it.
Okay, you know what? Sometimes,
because it's in our lexicon.
Sometimes the black in me comes out and I say irregardless. Okay, irregardless of.
That's right. Say it proud, loud and proud.
Regardless of development. It shouldn't be tied to development. Development is linked to wealth. Development is linked to opportunity, and there's people who are living without either. So a lot of thoughts swirl through my head. More disclosure. I just hope that the city gets this right. I hate to see hundreds of trees go down anywhere, and we know when they're talking about planting trees, they're probably talking about planting saplings that will one day be trees.
That will be mature.
I want to see what those trees look like.
I am a frequent user of AB4 Park, and so when I heard about this, it was concerning. But before we heard about the contamination, we didn't know what the reason was for the park closing, and I'm just like, yo, you're gonna close this jewel right next to the river. I grew up going to Maharis and AB4 Park because when my family migrated here, they settled in Jefferson Chalmers right on Algonquin. I remember the pool at Maharis Gentry Park and going swimming and being able to play. Like, just I want to continue to emphasize that we also have attachments to place.
Yes.
We also have affection for place. And we want to make sure that the places that we have an attachment and affection for are doing right by us, right? That's not making us sick. And the city needs to do a better job of making sure that these places we love us back.
Yeah, because I think the other thing is that the design of the park it's an old school park. It's old fashioned.
It is.
And so to what extent is it not cool? And to what extent are we gentrifying the park because we want a different look to the whole park?
We will not gentrify AB4.
Well, okay. When you tear down 270 trees and replace them with all of these different trees, it's going to look very different. And it's not just you. The hood shows up at AB4
That's
Park.
what
Let's
I
just
love.
be real,
That's what
okay?
I'm saying. They be in the lot. I love it.
And so, when we're done, will the hood still be welcome to show up in the same kind of way? I feel as though we should be asking these questions. People already
feel. And the hood show up at Maharis.
The hood's really going to show up at Maharis once they close AB4 Park next summer. Yeah. So but I just hope that we, take into consideration real lives that have been using the park and may have been exposed to something. If it's that toxic, we should have known. Yeah. If it's not that toxic, they should find a way to save the trees.
We got to take a break, but I really want to just say, if y'all remember and have a nostalgic desire for Belle Isle and what it used to be and what it used to feel like, just go to Maharis Gentry or AB4 Park in the summer. It's that culture's still here. Exactly. Listen, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about the Board of Police Commissioners and some corruption allegations by the Office of Inspector General. We'll be right back.
Bridge Detroit is your news and engagement platform that is telling the stories of Detroiters rooted by community priorities. Started in 2020 by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Stephen Henderson, the newsroom has already established its footing as the go-to source for hyper-local perspectives that ask the hard questions, brings accountability, and searches out real solutions. It's free to become a member of this award-winning news organization. Visit bridgedetroit.com today to sign up to receive the news delivered right to your inbox. Bridge Detroit. By Detroiters, for Detroiters.
Have you always dreamed of being on the airwaves? Well, the Detroit Eastside Engaged Podcast Network, or DEEP for short, is here to make that dream a reality. Located inside the Stoudemire, the DEEP Network offers studio space and production staff to help get your podcast idea off the ground. Doesn't take a whole lot of work to get started. Just visit the Authentically Detroit page at ecn-detroit.org or call Sarah at 313-948-0344.
Welcome back to Authentically Detroit. For Hot Takes, Detroit Police Oversight Board members abused their positions. A municipal watchdog investigation into the Detroit Board of Police Commissioners has ended with findings that several current or former commissioners abused their positions and resulted in the removal of one from his role as vice chair. The Detroit office of the Inspector General probe, initiated last year, was said to be one of several investigations into the Police Oversight Board long marred by a reputation for dysfunction and ineffectiveness. It centered on allegations of improper case closures and unauthorized overtime pay amid a 2022 effort to clear a lengthy backlog of uninvestigated complaints against officers. Inspector General Ellen Ha found that Commissioner Willie Bell, that's the one from District 4, y'all know him, and 3 former commissioners abused their positions by submitting budget requests and recommendations without authorization from the full board. The ex-commissioners all left last year, Reverend Jim Holley and Annie Holt, due to term limits, and Brian Ferguson after a sheriff's deputy caught him with the sex worker. Y'all will remember that story, okay? Former interim board secretary Melanie White also abused her position by ordering the immediate closure of citizen complaints that did not allege police misconduct, an unauthorized process that ran counter to the city charter, I found. Willie Bell, who has previously served as board chair and until recently served as vice chair, was stripped of the role in a unanimous vote by the commission at its Thursday meeting. The District 4 commissioner was absent and did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The Office of Inspector General probe was prompted by a February 2023 allegation that more than 700 citizen complaints were administratively closed without proper investigation and contact with complainants over a 5-month period in 2022. In response, Haas seized from the agency nearly 3,000 complaint files spanning 2 years. The investigation drew additional claims of abuse and fraud as it went on. Haas' report said, including 2 allegations that Bell attempted to discourage board staff from cooperating with the investigation. The OIG reported it could not determine whether that happened. A veteran of the Detroit Police Department, Willie Bell, has served on the board for about a decade in an elected role. In a letter sent to Ha on his behalf last week, Detroit Corporation Counsel. I didn't know that Corporation Counsel also acts on behalf of the Detroit Board of Police Commissioners. Corporation, I guess so, because the police serve at the pleasure of the mayor, I guess. I don't know. Detroit Corporation Counsel Conrad Mallett denied any findings of impropriety by the commissioner, saying he acts in accordance with the board rules. I have so many things to say. Donna, what say you?
Yes, my question was, who does Conrad Mallett work for? That was the weirdest part of the whole
so weird
story.
to me.
It's like you are supposed to be representing, honestly, the city. And the city, meaning the citizens of Detroit. You are acting on behalf of the citizens of Detroit.
On behalf of
for
the mayor.
you to act on behalf of Willie Bell, and I'm not even going to conclude he did something wrong, even though it looks like he did something wrong, and it looks like his colleagues concluded he did something wrong. But what the citizens want to know is that the people who work for the city are on their side, not playing cover for other people. For him to draw those conclusions and for the city to constantly negate the work of the OIG says so much about the transparency.
Don't care about accountability.
And accountability of the city of Detroit. So it's very disappointing to me, very scary and sad that so many citizen complaints go unanswered. What's the point of having police commission if the police commission is not going to investigate complaints.
And you know what was really interesting too is the response from the OIG to Corporation Counsel Conrad Mallett's claim of, you know, he did nothing wrong and that the OIG has been consistent and disparaging, whatever, something he said. And the response from the OIG was, it's actually disheartening that, you know, a decade later, we continue to have to issue the same kinds of reports and probes on this police board. Here's the thing that infuriates me. The question at hand is around citizen complaints of police conduct. Right. And so the board is not supposed to be, by charter, a rubber stamp for the police chief and the Detroit Police Department, but a mechanism for accountability.
When it's chaired
oversight
by a former police officer, what does that tell you? When the former police chief is deputy mayor, what does that tell you? It tells you that there is the same kind of link between the police department in the city of Detroit and the mayor's office as the military and the president's office. And that is that we have a militarized kind of governance in our city where police serve at the pleasure. But there's this mindset that we need the police to keep citizens in check. It's just a public disregard for citizens' rights. You can't have this many complaints going uninvestigated, this many complaints, period, and not have the mayor of the city wanting to hold the people who are policing the city accountable. The mayor should be more concerned than anybody because what that speaks to
a backlog of citizen complaints.
It's because the people that the mayor is working for are feeling violated.
Whether they voted for him or not.
Whether you work for every citizen. I read the city charter. And when I read the city charter, it made it really clear who all of those folks work for. And it's not corporations. It's not the other elected officials. It is for people who live in the city of Detroit. And so there's a violation of all kinds of expectations here. It's a concern of mine, especially because we keep increasing the police budget. We keep on adding more power to policing.
And we know what just happened
Detroit.
with the leak around ShotSpotter and knowing where those are and this technology and this surveillance. Let me ask you this question. You know, the president of the United States is often also referred to as the commander-in-chief. Is Duggan a local commander-in-chief?
Absolutely. That's exactly what my point was when I said the militarization.
That's why it
I appreciate you.
that, yeah.
I appreciate you phrasing it that way because absolutely he's the commander-in-chief. And absolutely that's the way he sees his role. I think that Heather Thompson wrote an article, The Unmaking of the Motor City, where she talked about the fact that the increased militarization of the city and policing actually contributed to criminalization of people, crime in the city, and the dissolution of sort of the social compact in the city of Detroit. I think it would be great to have Heather Thompson on this show so we can have a conversation with her about what she thinks this means. But I think absolutely police are supposed to be acting at the behest of people who work in the community to protect them from other people. Instead, police are working to contain Black folks in our neighborhoods and working to protect folks downtown. And so I think if you really look at and this is not just true here, it's true all over the nation, that this mindset is that people, we have ShotSpotter, right? Mm-hmm. And ShotSpotter is supposed to get the police there quickly, right? Mm-hmm. Now call 911 and see how quickly they come. Mm-hmm. In reality, 911 should be ShotSpotter. Hey, somebody's here shooting in front of my house. That should get the police there, but it doesn't. Instead,
$8 million.
$8 million.
I know the number well. We went from a $1.7 million contract to $8 million without proven efficacy of this technology, and Chicago has just done away with it. Yes. What are we doing?
We are treating Black people as suspects. We are treating people walking down the street as suspects, and we have to keep them under surveillance. Remember, there was a period of time where you used to go to the store, and you'd have the store person following you around, the retail clerk following you around, making sure you didn't steal something because you're a suspect the minute you walk in the store, not a customer. Mm. And to me, we are suspects in our community, and we must have this surveillance to make sure that we don't do things that are unlawful. And because we are suspects and because we are not really seen as valuable citizens, what ShotSpotter says is more important than the person dialing for help. 911 is not as compelling as what ShotSpotter says, but surveillance is more important than the summoning of police protection. And I think that's the breakdown that we see.
Yeah. All right. If you have topics and stories that you want discussed on Authentically Detroit, you can hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can email us at authenticallydetroit@gmail.com. So we are super excited because we have a very, very special guest here. Jenn uses her humor, wit, and style to capture audiences and relatability and research to sustain them. Her YouTube show, Ask Jenn, has become a successful web platform that highlights the cultural cornerstones of being a Black woman, Detroiter, autism parent, and millennial. Shout out to us. Garnering support online and in her community, Jenn hopes to combine the influence of Oprah and the humor of Monique to be the next talk show giant. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that she will get there, Jenn.
I'm just trying to understand whether Oprah and Monique decided if you were going to get along, or if there's going to be a war. It's just like schizophrenia.
Is there going to be a truce between the two, Jenn?
Look, I got to get them on the couch. Let's see what happens.
Let's get them on the couch. Okay, so I'm really, really excited to talk about Ask Jenn. And, you know, our listeners probably already listen to you, so we're going to get to the show. But I really want to start with you and talk about, you know, who raised you. Because I think it's important for our listeners to get a sense of just who you are, the stock that you come from, and how you experience Detroit coming up.
Okay, I am a Detroiter. I was raised on the West Side in Martin Park. My parents...
You're forgiven. I'm just joking.
A room full of East Siders. I'm shaking. No. My parents immigrated from Nigeria to Detroit in the 1980s. They went from the blackest country in the world to the blackest city in the world, and I'm grateful that this is where I came up. What
was their impetus for coming here?
School. My dad went to U of D Mercy. So my dad has an older brother who is known in the community for bringing over 50 Nigerians from our small village and community to the United States, Detroit specifically, to pursue education. He has a PhD. He had connections and relationships at U of D Mercy. So he was taking people from our family village and bringing them to Detroit to go to school.
To go to private school.
Private school. My dad went to U of D Mercy. Almost all my uncles went to U of D Mercy. Like, that's how everybody got their start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we lived in the neighborhood, went to school in the neighborhood. My dad had my siblings. I have 7 brothers and 2 sisters. I have a very, very big family.
How was that?
Oh my gosh, chaotic.
Yeah.
I am the last girl. So I was
You were the baby?
I was the last girl.
Oh, okay.
I was the last girl. Oh, I have 5 brothers after me.
Okay.
I was the last girl. So I saw a lot of things growing up. I helped raise a lot of kids, but the biggest thing was how important family is and how important family should be. And that's something that's always stayed with me.
Your parents were adults when they immigrated here from Nigeria.
Very young adults. But
very young adults. But, you know, they're not from here. So can you talk about, if there is any, the tension for your family to honor and keep its culture in a city like Detroit? What does that look like?
It is such a crossroads because, as you know, Detroit has its own culture in itself. And here we are immersed in it. We go to school with it. This is what we're raised looking, growing up, seeing. And it's like, this is me. But at the same time, I'm going home. I'm eating the cultural foods. I'm hearing the cultural language. I'm listening to the cultural music. So just growing up in between those two worlds, it just showed how important keeping culture is to you, whether it's the Detroit culture, whether it's the Nigerian culture, just knowing where you come from, having those traditions and the importance of those traditions is something that was just really pushed in my household. Music.
My carry it so well. Yeah.
Was a music lover. Just like we grew up listening to Fela and Oliver Decay, which is Nigerian music. He was a Motown lover, cassettes, records, like CDs. Like, so as far as like the cultural influence of Detroit is something that is not lost on me, even as a Nigerian.
But you didn't grow up. Did you grow up in Detroit or in Southfield?
Oh, I grew up in Detroit. I grew up in Detroit. I ended up going to Southfield schools when I got a little older. My dad moved us to Southfield. Unfortunately, my mom passed away when I was 3 years old. She died in a house that we were living in, and my dad was like, "We need a new house." Yeah. And the house that he found the quickest was in Southfield.
Right. So I was just thinking that because the Southfield culture is slightly different than Detroit culture.
Oh, 100%. And it's something that I didn't understand until I got older. it is like Detroit, the flashiness of it, all of the good stuff with a tinge of bougie. It's like you think you a little better, but it's just like we all the same.
Exactly.
We all the
same.
Because I raised my children in Southfield, and so that what they call them, field mice.
Oh yeah, field. You're not a hood rat. You a field mouse.
Oh
in
my
Southfield.
gosh.
That's
so funny.
that's the theory and the culture of it. So what makes you the queen of Southfield?
Oh, it's so funny. This was a joke because I ended up going to Southfield schools my whole life. All my siblings got the DPS experience. My older siblings got the DPS experience, and I didn't. By the time I was 4, we were living in Southfield, so I got to go to school in Southfield, and I went to Southfield schools my entire life. So I went to school in Southfield. I grew up in the Nigerian community. I grew up in Detroit too. I have older sisters who have a lot of friends. So I knew a lot of people. So when I would go out with my Detroit friends and I would see people from Southfield schools, of course, they like, who you think you are? You the queen of Southfield. So that was always a joke, like, to me. And then one day on Twitter, my friend had mentioned it again on Twitter, and I'm like, I forgot all about this, and I changed my name to the Queen of Southfield, it's been like that ever since.
You have this uncanny ability, I guess, and I guess it's because you had to hold a lot of different communities in you growing up to connect with just about anybody. Talk about like the marketplace that was your household. Were you fighting to be heard? Were you always somewhere talking? Were you, what was little Jenn doing?
Let me tell you something. A fight to be heard was not the thing. My daddy used to have a running joke when I was growing up. If I'm not happy, nobody in my house is going to be happy. I was always like, my favorite thing is my aunts and my uncles and my older sister and her friends seeing Ask Jenn and be like, this is something I always thought you were going to do. Mm-hmm. My demands were always made known. If I had something to say, I always said it. At school, if there was a play, a poetry contest, a tryout for anything, I was doing it. Musicals, like that's always how I've been. Super performative, super bold, and always wanting to be in front of people.
All right, y'all. Listen, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we want to talk about the Ask Jenn show and some of the amazing folks that you've been able to interview and hold space with. Keep it locked. Yes. Authentically Detroit. We'll be right back with Jenn.
Founded in 2021, the Stoudemire is a membership-based community recreation and wellness center centrally located on the east side of Detroit. Membership in the Stoudemire is available on a sliding scale for up to $20 per year or 20 hours of volunteer time. The Stoudemire offers art, dance, and fitness classes, community meetings and events, resource fairs, pop-up events, the neighborhood tech hub, and more. Members who are residents of the east side have access to exclusive services in the Wellness Network. Join today and live well, play well, be well. Visit ecndetroit.org.
Bridge Detroit is your news and engagement platform that is telling the stories of Detroiters rooted by community priorities. Started in 2020 by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Stephen Henderson, the newsroom has already established its footing as the go-to source for hyper-local perspectives that ask the hard questions, brings accountability, and searches out real solutions. It's free to become a member of this award-winning news organization. Visit bridgedetroit.com today to sign up to receive the news delivered right to your inbox. Bridge Detroit, by Detroiters, for Detroiters.
All right, welcome back to Authentically Detroit. We're here with the host of Ask Jenn. Okay, tell us about Ask Jenn. What is it?
Oh my gosh, Ask Jenn is a show where you can get advice, you can get cussed out, and you can get a big hug all at the same time.
So I hear the Monique and I hear the Oprah in there, right?
Uh-huh. You feel me now?
I feel it now. So how long have you been doing Ask Jenn?
So I started Ask Jenn in 2021. It'll be 3 years in September. That's crazy.
Where did you start it?
I started, so I cannot say Ask Jenn was originally my idea. I have a very good friend named Barry. He has a YouTube channel called The Uprising Network. This is 2021 after the pandemic. He had a few different shows that were running on the network. And he said, hey, with the pandemic, people have stopped recording. I have some space. I would love for you to come on the show. He follows me on Twitter. I've been on People Who was on his network show. So he saw how I am in front of a camera, my comedy and things like that. He was like, I have space for you. Whatever you want to do, do it. We sat down and we brainstormed the idea. He's like, so what'd you do? I'm like, well, people ask me questions all the time. He's like, what do you mean people ask me questions all the time? I said, I think I'm a really good resource. Like, people come to me for advice. They come to me for suggestions. If I did a show, it would be people asking me questions. And then he said, what would you call it? And I have a very good friend named Kelly. She will always say, I don't ask Jeeves, I ask Jenn. So when the show came out, I was like, I will name it Ask Jenn. That's how it came about.
I love that. Wow, that is amazing. So Uprising Network, interesting name for a network.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So he started the YouTube channel he was a rapper at first, and he wanted a platform to play his own music videos. But as he was going through that, he's recording the videos, he's editing the videos, and he's realizing like, I could do this for other people. So it's just a guy with a camera going around. He had a show like In Your Hood or something like that. He was going to rappers' neighborhoods and recording them and talking to them about their music. And then he started doing a bunch of other things. He wanted to tell Detroit stories that felt authentic to him. Like when we talk about Detroit and some of the media that we see, really dark, really gloomy, always hustle, 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 always, murder, drugs, something like that. He's like, there are other people who are doing things and that needs to be shown off. So that's why he started the Uprising Network.
That's wonderful.
Can you talk a little bit about the injection of like joy and levity that you bring? I think, to the point that you are making about what is traditionally covered in our city by media personalities, you have captured the essence of joy that exists in our city. Is that intentional?
Oh my gosh. I am a social worker. That is what I do by trade. Like I am a licensed social worker. Actually, I gave up my license to do Ask Jenn because I didn't want people to confuse it with professional advice. That was my sacrifice. But I recognize there are so many stories that are not being told just because people don't have the outlet for it. People are afraid, in a sense, to talk about certain things because it's not popular. It's not getting as much traction.
Yeah.
So it's just like me knowing I'm a resource, me knowing I can be an avenue to get people in front of people or eyes on people. I was like, let's use this as a machine. Use me. I'm a resource. Use me as a vehicle. And now we have what Ask Jenn is today. The joy aspect is really important to me because I feel like I have a personality that can bring something bright out of the darkest things. I can bring humor to a serious situation. I can get people who typically wouldn't pay attention to something to at least listen because I'm dressed cute. So I'm like, let's do it.
So before,
the outfits
I
are
do
a whole
want to
thing.
find out about more of the questions, but I don't want to forget to ask you this because we were talking before we started about another Nigerian American woman, Wendy Osefo. Is that how?
Yes, Osefo, you're right. Yes.
Who has, really claimed a national audience through not just Real Housewives of Potomac, but also she's been a commentator on television. And she also brings joy to those of us who, are willing to allow ourselves to enjoy her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's certainly has been surrounded by controversy, but she's one who makes a lot of us proud.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about Wendy and her influence on you?
I love watching Wendy. So first of all, I am just a Real Housewives watcher. I watch every single franchise, white, black, it do not matter. I love Real Housewives. Seeing a Nigerian woman, Wendy is the first Nigerian American housewife. It makes me recognize the type of women who I know I am. We see the type of women who are on TV. Sometimes they're famous for their bodies. Sometimes they're famous for the type of music they like. Something that is very authentic and known in the Nigerian culture, at least. The person who know the most, if you are the smartest person in your family, you get the most love, you get the most attention. And Wendy is showing us like being a smart lady can get you famous too. And I'm like, it's something that I admire and it's what I want to be like.
Yeah,
Dr.
Dr. Wendy.
I read her autobiography.
Really?
I'm such a fan. I read her autobiography.
I need to read it too.
You do. But she talks about she is very intelligent, but she also struggled with insecurities. She went to law school and was not successful there. And I love the way that she reveals her, her flaws and her sense of inadequacy while at the same time taking pride in what she does know. So I think that's really beautiful. Do you feel the same way about Nneka, who is the second Nigerian woman on Housewives
Let's
show?
get into some pop.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Nneka came on the show to literally seek and destroy. And I hate to say this, and again, especially with the show, there's so much cultural context that is lost because the audience that watches Housewives, I'm a Nigerian that watches Housewives, obviously, but
Bravo don't know what to do.
There we go.
Well,
They're
they
just creating a storyline to put fire
Yeah.
on it. But I'm like, to put two Nigerian women on this show finally and to allow them to be people who are fighting is crazy and one enough. But unfortunately, like, That's a lot of what you see in the culture. A lot of Nigerian women are competitive with one another. Like, that's the reality of the situation. Seeing that Nneka came on the show and having no problem with tearing Wendy down and attacking Wendy is very, very similar to, unfortunately, what I see in the culture.
But I felt like, in addition to that, what they did was sort of throw some shade at Nigerian culture. The way that they attacked her, she did not attack her personality. She attacked her mother. She attacked her mother's religious beliefs, and really threw some things out there that I thought contributed to stereotypes in a real negative way. And I believe the producer knew exactly what he was doing in helping to create that conflict. It was, let's throw in some witchcraft conversations about Nigerian culture. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you something. A witch is the highest insult in like the Nigerian culture. So for them to lead with that, it's just like, y'all want drama in any way that you all can have it, that you don't even care the type of damage that you're actually doing to these families. This is someone's lineage. Even before Nneka came on the show, even the rumor with her family being Isu, talking about the native Nigerian caste system. It is so many cultural things that I feel like, because of the nature of reality TV and people just want drama, you went so deep into what you were doing to get the drama that you don't even know the type of damage that you've done to these families.
It reverberates. You know, so you are often called upon to do, you know, a ton of interviews, some moderation. And, you know, I had the opportunity to see you interview the cast of one of Donna's favorite shows, Love and Marriage Detroit. Talk a little bit about that. You were in it. You loved that.
Tell you, I love reality TV, and I'm a fan of Love and Marriage Huntsville. So when I got the opportunity, Christina reached out to me personally and was like, hey, we need a moderator for our panel for the premiere party. I would love for you to do it. They sent me, I felt like, you know, I keep getting called the Detroit Oprah, and OWN emailed me like the clip ahead of time. I was like, okay, this is good alignment. I watched the clip and I saw how they introduced the show, and I was like, oh yeah, y'all not playing. I really believe the way that the show went, they did a very good job in showcasing the spiritual roots of Detroit and how like Christian based like the city is. You know, we
church in Detroit.
I grew up right off Puritan, baby. If you can't get saved nowhere in Detroit, you can get saved on Puritan. There is 100 churches. They did a very good job in digging into that piece, but I feel like some of it was a little corny, like a little stuff with like the Coney Island and the skating. Like, I feel like there are so many things like that are Detroit-esque that they added to the show, but there is so much more.
I like the skating. I have to be honest. The skating was on the east side.
With it, yes. But you also had like, there was a storyline that I want you to talk to Jenn about the storyline that kind of made you like, this is icky.
Yeah, what I didn't like was the storyline with Christina, and I don't remember Colby and then somehow Brittany B.
Oh my God! Justice for Brittany B. The way they treated her. Basically, they were saying that Christina was trying to go after a collab or something like that, and so was Colby, and like I guess I forgot which husband it was.
One of the husbands, but what they accused Christina accused the husband of talking about. She said that Brittany said something that Brittany said she didn't say. Mm-hmm. And she twisted it. We all watched her twist it. And then at the end, Carlos basically said, oh, she just is hungry because she wants to be on this show.
I hated that.
And they threw her under the bus. And it's like Brittany said she was on the show for like 5 minutes. And she was the topic of conversation for like 5 episodes. It made no sense. The type of conflict made no sense. And it actually made me angry with Christina because I felt like you are trying to save your husband at the expense of another woman. And the way she threw her under. So it was just weird to me.
I didn't like it. I really felt like, especially
Justice for my friend,
but also on reality TV. And this is something that I see and do all the time because I'm a reality TV expert. I watch it all the time. Throwing some unknown character into the mix, so it's like everybody got a fall guy. I really feel like that's something that happened to Brittany. If you want to keep this storyline up and keep this drama up, you got to name somebody who you never going to see in a room, who can never defend themselves. And I feel like that's what happened to Brittany.
It is.
They should have brought her on the reunion.
Did 100%. I was shocked when Carlos mentioned her on the reunion and she did not show up. I was like, she deserves justice.
She does deserve justice. And I think, make the show interesting. Here's my problem with reality TV. Sometimes there's so much more to Detroit that did not get shown.
Too much, actually.
I thought that it almost made all these petty arguments. Well, why don't we have a real argument about some real stuff? And also, and I'm not saying this to be mean because I don't even remember the names of all of these people, but sometimes I felt like, okay, we're all arguing over which person has a better career producing these artists, and I've never heard of any of them, and I wasn't sure because I'm not of the age group, but I also felt like, I don't know if this is a great representation even of the promoters in Detroit or people who are in the artistic community.
Yes. 100%. I'm like, as a person who will be outside, I be on the scene, I'm like, these people who y'all are bringing on this show, do not ring a bell to me, don't seem familiar to me. Again, that could just not be my demographic. But if you wanted to showcase, and maybe these people weren't available or they didn't have time, but I'm like, if you really wanted to showcase the music scene in Detroit, the way it was being done, I'm just like, this is not fair.
It is not fair. It is not. And I do we have to switch gears? I know we have to talk about some more things, but can we talk about bringing Marceau on there to have a man's event and those 5 people who walked around the block in
looking
the
crazy? That was so embarrassing. I was like, y'all could at least call me. I would have showed up with a little sign. I'm like, y'all walking around this abandoned block looking foolish. I couldn't believe it.
It was not well produced to me. I think we need our own Detroit reality show to really show who we are, and it's got to be not by somebody who
and
used
it's
to be
your
here.
voice.
Yes,
and your voice.
Maybe Ask Jenn needs a reality show. Can we get that going?
If I was ever on reality TV, everybody would hate me.
No. I'm saying you could produce it.
Oh, I would. Let me tell you something.
Come on, Shawnee O'Neal.
So being and working on Ask Jenn has turned me into a producer. It has turned me into an editor. It has turned me into so many different things. I am certain I could produce another show.
All right, so we have to talk to Bravo or somebody.
Somebody, come
your
see
own
me.
show, because if you want to showcase Detroit, that ain't it. But we have somebody who does it. So
we're going to have the Queen of Southfield showcase
Queen of
Detroit.
Southfield, but also apparently Detroit and Nigeria. So I have a question about people coming to you and asking you questions. I'm just wondering, what are some of the questions that people ask Jenn? I have to listen to your show, but I haven't seen it yet. So talk about what people ask Jenn.
So I always say to people, I cover everything from substance abuse to side babies. Any topic.
Okay, so let's talk about both. Let's start with side babies.
What? I cover such a diverse range of topics.
Snap.
I did a full episode about people sneaking around with one another, wanting to leave their significant other and not knowing how to tell them they want to leave.
So what does Jenn tell them?
I give them solid advice. Everything, it depends. I'm not a
solid. You are a licensed master social worker, yes. So
I'm looking for
comes from a reliable source.
My knowledge base is not just.
But are these things confidential? Or can you tell us about the story?
I always tell people this could be my best friend talking about me, and I would have no idea. So the ways the questions come to me is we use I don't know if you know, back in the day, Ask FM or something like that. We use the email box. The email comes to me completely declassified. It comes from a random email address that's linked to my website, and I just answer the question.
Okay, so tell us about one question you answered that was really interesting.
Oh my gosh, the question that I answered that was really interesting. Hold on, let me see. Let me think of this one. A girl was saying that her very good friend has a male best friend. In person, they argue with each other. They act like they hate each other, but they secretly been hooking up. And they the hookup is getting really serious. Should I tell my friend that I think we are going to start trying to pursue a relationship? And I'm like, your friend is going to hate you because you are a liar. You went out your way to act like you don't even like this person in your friend's face, and you actually sleeping with them. I'm like, I said, tell your friend if you want to be an honest person finally, but if they never mess with you after this, you cannot be mad at them.
That's juicy.
So juicy. I have so many juicy questions on my show.
Okay, so
I can't wait to see it.
I know we got to go, but I want to do a little bit of rapid fire because I still had a whole bunch of questions that we weren't able to get to. Your favorite guest?
Oh my gosh. Alicia Baumgartner, the boxer. I knew nothing about boxing before I filmed that episode. I love boxing now.
All right, who's your dream guest?
Ooh, Cash Doll.
Cash Doll. Okay,
Cash
it's
Doll.
going to happen. I've been hearing you say her name lately.
I want Cash Doll on my show.
And it's going to happen.
Amen.
Who does your wardrobe?
Myself.
You do all of your outfits.
I pick all my clothes. Amber, my best friend Amber Lewis, shout out to the CEO of the city. Okay, she does second opinions, but for the most part, it's all me.
All right. And my last question is, where do you see As Jenn 5 years from now?
ask Jenn 5 years from now. I want distribution on some type of network, whether that
And I mean that.
whether that is streaming or whether it's actually on TV. I see this show going very, very far. Like you said, I think I do a very good job of crossing a lot of intersections, and people want to see that. More people want to see it.
Take us with you. How can people connect with you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Ask Jenn, AskJenn.show. You can visit my website if you want to submit questions on askjenshow.com. Or you can follow me on Twitter, Jenn, JENN, on the rocks, ONTHEROCKS, _1.
I almost feel like we need to do like some cross promo. We do Jenn in once a month to do an Ask Jenn segment, and then we come over there
I would love
and do
that.
like a current event segment or something to inject some joy, because Donna and I are so serious and
Y'all
we're
are
so
serious.
nerdy all the time. You know, I try to inject joy and levity when appropriate, but I'm not always successful. So I don't know.
Yes, I'm serious. But what is your viewership?
My viewership, for the most part, it is women ages 18 to 45, mostly from Detroit.
That's the demographic everybody wants.
18 to 45, mostly from Detroit. My second most watched is demographic, and my third most watched is Chicago. And my second most watched country, I am so proud, is Nigeria, outside the United States.
So how many people is that?
Oh, I'll have no idea how
You
to
have
count.
no idea.
I need to check.
I am going to actually go listen to Ask Jenn because you
Please.
seem like a lot of fun.
Listen to her
And
conversation
I
with Big
know.
Rich.
I'm
That
a
was
good
fun.
time. I
cannot
promise
wait.
you. I don't
I
say that
cannot
because it's
wait.
me.
No,
You know who you should talk to?
Who?
One of my favorite people in the city. She's one of my favorite Detroiters, Imani Mixon.
Oh my gosh, I love Imani so much.
You guys need to talk.
She would make
You
me look
two-
like an amateur on my show. I'm
you
scared to
two
talk to her.
would be so amazing to watch just together.
And she just launched her own media network. I'm gonna talk to her. I'm gonna talk to her.
Fellow Eastsider.
Yeah, that's my girl.
All right. If you have topics that you want to discuss on Authentically Detroit, you can hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can email us at authenticallydetroit@gmail.com. It is time for shout outs. Donna, you have any shout outs?
Happy Women's History Day. I want to have shout out 3 women. Starting with Kathy Nett from Michigan Chronicle, who just published the applause section honoring 25 Black nonprofit leaders, and I was one that she
What
honored.
a write-up.
And so I was like, oh, that's really nice, and it's always nice to be recognized. Rarely happens for me, so it's always nice to be recognized. But then I read the write-up, and I was almost in tears. I was like, this is so sweet. She gets me. So I wrote her something, and I said, Kathy, I don't know who wrote this, but please, this was really beautiful. And she said, I wrote that myself.
Oh, my God.
And so I really wanted to honor her for honoring me, because it really means a lot when somebody doesn't just say you do good things, but when they understand your purpose and what you think your purpose is, right? So I want to honor her. And then I want to honor both Savannah Brewer and Naomi Cawthorn, who were in Model D today or this week. They were talking about the Stoudemire Wellness Hub and the amazing work that both of them are doing to spread wellness and protect people in our community. You hear Naomi's voice as she's talking about the Stoudemire Wellness Hub. But these are people who live their passion in their work. And so I'm so proud to have them as part of our ECN team.
Such a great photo in Model D as well. Shout out to Naomi and Savannah. You have any shout outs, Jenn?
Oh, I would love to. Okay, shout out again. Shout out to my best friend, Amber Lewis.
You call her the
Chief
CEO.
Energy Officer.
I love that.
Yes. Visit Detroit gave her that title. My partner, Dan Green, he is at home with our daughter because I am here with you all. And my older sister, Latasha Onwenu, she is the reason why Ask Jenn is here today. I love you so much. And I hope you hear this.
You got to send it to her so she'll hear
I
it.
have to.
I would like to. So over the weekend, I got to attend the Detroit Symphony Orchestra's Classical Roots celebration. They had a gala and they had a concert playing original music by these amazing Black composers, one of which is Shelley Washington out of New York. She's younger than me, and she composed an entire symphony, right?
Wow.
But I got to spend some time with our friend Valencia Stoudemire, who is a Wonder Woman in and of herself. She's a professional at Henry Ford Health System, but she's also the widow of our really good friend and brother, mentor, all of the things, Marlo Stoudemire. Marlo sat on the Classical Roots Committee for 6 years.
Wow.
And Valencia is continuing in that tradition. But they named an award after Marlo Stoudemire. So Valencia has been presenting the award. I think the first recipient was in 2021 or 22. And I hadn't had the opportunity to like just sit and kick it with V in a long time. So we kicked it at the Classical Roots celebration, and she was like, "I don't got no kids tonight. It's a free night." So it was just fun hanging out with my sister. Shout out to her. I love her so much. But the recipient of the Stoudemire Award was world-renowned Jessica Caremore, who's also a really good friend of mine, and I had the opportunity to interview her. And you know, she like Donna, she's like, okay, it's another award. People, you know, it's award season. But when she got the call that she was going to get an award in honor in the name of her friend Marlo, she was in another country. It stopped her in her tracks. She was in tears. And me talking to her, interviewing her, almost brought her back to tears. There's nobody more deserving than Jessica Caremore, a champion for equity and a champion for our city and a champion for Black women.
Absolutely.
Right? So shout out to Jessica Caremore. But the other recipient of the night was Shirley Stancato, who currently sits, I think she's the chair of the Wayne State Board of Governors, the former president and CEO of New Detroit Inc., banker, justice advocate, all of the things, and someone who I've always looked to in my career as like just one of those people, right? I got to sit across from Shirley and interview her, just an amazing track record. I asked her if she knew she was blazing a trail when she was just doing her work, and she said, I just wanted to serve people and love on the city that raised me. And she was like, I want people, she wants her legacy to be that people beyond her accolades, and there are plenty of them, that, you know, she comes from a working class family with humble beginnings. She said, my bio doesn't tell you who I am, it tells you everything that I've done. And I want people to get to know who I am. And this is the beginning of that. And so shout out to Shirley Stancato, Valencia Stoudemire, and Jessica Caremore.
Wow.
Happy Women's History Month.
Yes. And, you know, Michelle Ann May is somebody I've known for quite some time. And she's one of the violinists, a Kresge Arts Fellow who is a violinist playing there. So shout out to Michelle as well.
Yeah. Shout out to y'all. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. Stay tuned to see who we have on next week. Until then, we'll see you.